FM. My name is Ruth Usman, and it's time for Media Lab, where the bringers of the news sit with you and analyze, what they see, how they see it. I have joining me in the studio my colleague Inyene. Good morning to you. Were you looking for your mic? If you were, then you were not heard. So I raised it up again. I thought you were using.
Oh, good morning. Second time
okay,
around.
So
See.
that sounds more like it. All right. So nice to have you once again. It's a media lab where we get to analyze some of the stories that are trending. Let's begin with this one. I found this quite interesting. It says former Super Eagles captain Kanu Nwankwo has disassociated himself from the campaign for the 2019 presidency, saying he does not know where and how his name has been linked to the race for Aso Rock Villa. Kanu said he was surprised to see his poster on the internet campaigning for the presidency, adding, as a Nigerian, I will be glad to be in such a position if it is God's will. I also will make official declaration if such idea comes my way. At this point in time, I am not seeking any political position. Okay, I'm reading this, with all smiles on my face, but I don't know what you thought of it when you saw it.
For me, it was a big surprise, and I came outright to write it off. I did, I remember, because someone actually...
You felt it wasn't coming from him?
It wasn't coming from him.
Why?
I thought he's not prepared. He's not... This isn't the right time for him to throw himself or the heart into the fray, to jump into this whole mess currently.
He should get older, or the current
I told
situation
her,
is not, or what is
it was
about?
actually at home, I think. Back, someone just mentioned it in my home. Kanu Nwankwo has declared his intention to run for president. I was like, Kanu Nwankwo, no.
Someone sat and thought about what happened with George Weah, I guess. In
Something
Liberia,
like
and
that.
they thought, okay, maybe we could
I said no. And they were kind of like surprised to hear me say no. I said no. That
But
I
it's
find
possible.
it, I remember the word I used. I said I find it rather laughable.
Why? You think he's not competent or what?
Not like that. I didn't imagine the like of Nwankwo Kanu to come out for the top seat in the country.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my question. Yeah, because
Yes.
he hasn't vied for any other
So we
political
don't.
office,
He has
so-
no pedigree. All right, the most he could offer was playing display the tactics on the pitch of football. But when it comes to actually moving the pawns in leadership
Maybe
roles,
we need some form of football-like way of leadership
How
in
is that
Nigeria, perhaps. I mean, to just do it a bit differently, other than the very conventional political, typically political way. Maybe we need a little change in our democracy. You never can tell from where it could come
see,
from.
Ruth,
We could get a former buckler. We could get people from all walks of life. Oh, yeah. I mean, you use your experience from other fields of life to see how you can handle certain other areas. It may work. You never can tell.
Now let's look at the reality on ground. If you go to the military
You're saying
sector,
I just fantasize right now. Or what?
right? No, yes, more like it, because we've had generals, you understand, who transmuted or who ruled this country in uniform and then eventually came back to rule under democratic dispensation. And as far as I do know, the military is supposed to be the most strategic, tactical, profession one could think about in the world. One of the most, I said, not as in the most.
Okay.
So when people from that constituency actually came into position of leadership, how did you fare? If you're talking about strategy and football. So it's still all about administration of human as well as material resources.
The world is in love with football. Nigerians are in love with football.
Very well.
We're attracted to it. People, when it comes to that, nobody remembers political leanings, religious connotations, and all
absolutely.
of that.
I
They don't
agree
care
with
where
you.
you're coming from as long as you're on the same team. So, what if? Really,
I know it's very possible. I'm not ruling out the possibility anyway. But then, for me, the timing is not right. And I thought that office as well is too high. It's going to overwhelm him. And I told initially when I heard that too, I said, no. Kanu shouldn't do this. He shouldn't do this to
let's
us.
put down his name and just assume it's any other footballer in Nigeria,
Yes.
footballer, any other person. Is it possible that
They
perhaps
shouldn't. I
someone who is
at the
who has such a background?
at the moment we do not have any.
Okay.
So for the best thing or the best way to go about it is to start at the lower positions. And I thought, I told those who mentioned it before I even came to read, I saw it online. I was like, no, we have a position in the state's legislature. Let him go start there and develop his pedigree. And then gradually he will come to the center and we'll start looking for, oh, that master dribbler on the football pitch has transformed into a master strategist based on perhaps look at the kind of presentations, the kind of bills, the kind of submissions he made in the State House of Assembly or at most the House of Representatives. And I said, look, for you to go and start contesting, I said, is it that this guy has stashed up some war chest, some funds somewhere, I don't know, that he just wants to throw down the drain? Because 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, you know what that means? He's going to need coordinators in all of the states, all the local government. Does he have the wherewithal to do that?
From where you're
but
coming
no,
from.
but if he goes, or if anybody from that particular constituency would like to go into the politics, go to your state house of assembly. Within the states, I know it's just a couple of local governments, and that's our son. He did perform. He did creditably well on the football field, and he'll get massive, massive backing from the electorate. At most, you go to the House of Representatives. I think about three local governments or something like that. He could still get a vote. Let's give him a chance, But for presidency, no way. I know it's all about, it's like what is happening in Liberia. George Weah assumed office as one reputable footballer who has made a mark in the game of football globally, and now he's moved into politics. So it's beginning to seem like a stimulus to other sportsmen, not restricted to footballers alone. Other sportsmen who've done so well in that particular sector to now think, okay, I could bring my wealth of experience.
Yes, I can do it.
Right at the moment, we hear one other footballer in Brazil, what's his name? Ronaldinho, is already declared his intention. He wants to take a shot at Brazil's senatorial seat.
Okay.
So you see what George Weah is doing, and this is originating from Africa. So it's really interesting.
Okay.
I know with time, I would say Kanu, don't actually, I like his response anyway. He said
when the idea comes,
yes, he's going to let.
So for now,
I think pretty soon the idea will come, and we'll hear the likes of Kanu or Kocha, Shegun Odegbami, and the likes, and Mary Onyalis, and and all of them like that contesting for electoral positions.
Okay. Until then, let's hope somehow something will just put that thought in their mind and they would work according to it.
My people, my people have been encouraging me. My people, our people will encourage them.
All right, interesting. Okay, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed on that. I just feel that if anybody has been able to take care of any office of responsibility, any office of leadership in one way or the other, that it should be preparatory stage for bigger things, for bigger responsibilities.
They shouldn't shy away from this particular calling. They should not. But I know currently they're having problems, especially within the sporting community. Like most times, you always have the pro-establishment candidates. The Sports Federation. I was talking with our sports presenter, Praise, and he was telling me a lot of rot. I do know about a lot of rot in the sports system, but when I heard the much he could rake up, I was like, the current sports administration, they do not have anything in mind to develop sport, as it were. So those who are competent in that area are always shut out of the system. You find out most times it is the pro-establishment, people who are anointed, how do I put it, stooges of those in the corridor of power are the ones they pushing into office. He was saying something about Commonwealth youth, pushing for a bill to make sports a tool for national development. And he was lamenting that the sport ministry, currently headed by Solomon Dalon, has completely not shown any interest whatsoever to push for the passage of that bill in the National Assembly.
Solomon Dalon.
So you find out with that, I think it's a kind of deliberate system to shut out those who are actually good in those areas from coming to administer or contribute to the administration of sports. So for them to come out the other way is for us to encourage them to go into politics. Perhaps when they get into elected positions, they'll now be able to push policies, you understand?
Okay.
And
That
effect
makes
change
sense.
in that sector.
Yeah. Being that they are coming from that, all right, it makes sense. So let's see. Maybe that will be the defining moment we're waiting for. Moving on to another story here, the federal government has directed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, to investigate infractions against the Public Procurement Act. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said such step had become necessary in order to bring to book any civil servant found colluding with contractors to subvert the provisions of the law. Do you see this as something that, will I say, see the light of day, like really come to being? These things, when you talk about existing realities and all that, things have been going on for so long, but just how practicable is this?
The law has always been there, okay, but then it takes people to actually make the law effective, to actually implement the law. Now, talking about a Public Procurement Act, and talking about the keyword there, directing anti-graft agencies. I'm always bothered, do the anti-graft agencies have, are they tied to the apron strings of the federal government or whatsoever, that they always have to await directives before they do carry out their statutory responsibilities? I wouldn't know, maybe it has to do with the way that particular headline was crafted by the editors or my colleagues out there. But then, I am worried when anti-graft agencies have to sit down. There is a law in existence, and of course that law would have clearly spelled out what are the sanctions that will be meted out to anyone who breaches any of its provisions. Now, does the anti-graft agency need to get directive or some kind of push from maybe somebody somewhere before they do that? I thought by the time contract procurements are done, the anti-graft agencies should be part of any committee that is conducting procurement or carrying out procurement for contracts in all the MDAs, for starters, because in that way we'll be able to put in place preventive mechanisms rather than waiting for the smart guys, you understand, to pull the strings you get and turn everything upside down for their own favor before you now react. If the anti-graft agencies form a part of the screening, the procurement committees in the MDAs, I think it will go a long way in curtailing these breaches or violations of the Public Procurement Act. Again, because when you say the anti-graft agencies should now go and investigate breaches, think of the logistics that is going to cost us. That is where we're now wasting scarce resources.
No, but shouldn't there be any investigations?
They should be.
And whose responsibility is that?
What I'm saying, they don't need to wait for
Until
anybody. Yes.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of things, I mean,
so
budget defense and all of that, they are calling them, please, you should come, or everybody. So it's like everybody is waiting for someone to push them to do what they naturally ought to do.
And that's the big problem we're having in the country today. If the anti-graft agencies need to perform according to what they are supposed to do, according to the law, they don't need to wait for anybody to push them. Now, this particular act, the Public Procurement Act, has been bastardized because the MDAs is like they have a way of circumventing these laws, knowing full well that at the end of the day, investigations are going to be embarked upon. And once you talk about investigations, you hear 2 weeks time we're going to come out with our conclusions. It's like quietly saying bye-bye to that particular matter. But perhaps now that the anti-graft agencies are being directed to come in and do something, maybe they'll now feel that the eye of Mauga at the top will be on me, so they may want to do something better. But for majority of Nigerians, all these kind of investigations, for me, they're just a charade.
Okay, Let's see how that turns out. But we'll have to go on a break at this point. We'll come back and continue with the program. Stay with us on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM.
Radio. Welcome on board to the Human Rights Radio.
Redefining broadcasting.
The attention of the Federal Capital Territory Administration has been drawn to some illegal settlements around Kubo and Gwamada behind Mogadishu barracks. These structures have been constructed without the approval of the administration. Owners and residents of such structures in these areas are therefore given 21 days notice with effect from Thursday, 5th April 2018 to voluntarily vacate these locations. At the expiration of this notice, the Development Control Department, in line with its mandate, will carry out the removal of all illegal structures in these areas. Be informed, residents of illegal settlements around Kubo and Gwamada behind Mogadishu barracks, you have 21 days from Thursday, 5th April 2018 to voluntarily vacate these locations to avoid demolition. Let's together build the FCT of our dreams. This is to inform the general public that the activities of scavengers, also known as Babambola, is prohibited within the Federal Capital City. Their activities are henceforth restricted to the area councils. Residents of the Federal Capital City are advised to be vigilant and report any suspicious activities to law enforcement agencies. Together, we can make Abuja the city of our dreams.
As a business owner, you may be asking yourself for reasons why you should advertise with Human Rights Radio. Well, I will give you 5. 1. We operate a 24-hour Facebook TV that accommodates all our shows and with 50,000 views per show. 2. All around the world, millions of people tune into our station live on our Human Rights Radio app, available on Android and iOS. 3. We are employing over 2,000 conversers ready to attend to all your advertising needs. 4. With our very affordable rates, you are guaranteed the best value for your money. 5. We go beyond radio and can be found on all other social media platforms, including Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope, proving that while other stations enjoy listenership, we enjoy followership. The question shouldn't be reasons why you should advertise with Human Rights Radio. The real question is reasons why you haven't. Welcome to Nigeria's first magazine radio, Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting. As the fourth estate of the realm, the media stands as the watchman of the nation. On Media Lab, we dissect the news items of the day through the men and women that bring the news to you to give you the full story. Media Lab, airing exclusively on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting.
Human Rights Radio.
Thank you for staying with us. 26 minutes into the 11 o'clock hour on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. Media Lab continues and we take on the next story. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, on Sunday said the federal government will very soon release another list of looters. When it comes to evidence, it's for the courts to decide, but we want to make it clear that no amount of intimidation from any side would prevent the federal government from releasing the next batch of looters list. Interestingly, we have people saying that they are going to court. You see, courts are for the accused person and the accuser. Courts are for the rich and the poor. Courts are for the government and the governed. So anybody that says that he's going to court, that shouldn't frighten anybody. My bad. I have actually been quoting the Minister of Information there, saying that, well, there is absolutely nothing to be afraid of, and there is no amount of intimidation from left, right, or center that is going to stop them from releasing the next batch of looters. I think the VCs list we've been talking about will soon come out, so those who have applied, they should be looking forward to.
Did they apply?
Okay, well, that was on the lighter side. So the infamous list that has got everybody talking, more is coming. What are your expectations as this next batch is coming out?
Truth be told, Ruth, my expectations are what? How do I put it? When it comes to matters like this, I think I just have to hold back any expectations.
Okay.
Such that, yes,
Allow them to surprise
yes,
you, to awe
I'm
you.
waiting with fingers crossed and see how far, if at all, they'll be able to surprise me. How far would they be able to go? Now, the first batch, the second batch, and then a lot of reactions have continued to trail those releases. Now, he's talking about the Minister of Information and Culture. He's talking about a third release. And going by some of his comments, he said Nigerians are going to be shocked by the caliber of individuals whose names would appear on this forthcoming list. And he's talking also about no fear of any intimidation whatsoever. But my concern is that in all of that, he has not said anything about the list is going to contain people who are currently in this administration.
My thought is that maybe that's why he said people will be shocked. So maybe we may be shocked that we would actually see some people, because many Nigerians have accused that list of not consisting, being fair, of not involving those who are in the ruling party. I mean, for someone to be this confident the way he is talking about this, you don't expect to see his own name on the list, do you?
I don't know, Ruth. When he came out, before the first list came out, he said it was as a result of the dare by the PDP dared them. When that first list came out, there was nothing exciting about it. For me, the boldness, I wouldn't see anything.
Is this a matter of being dared or doing the right thing
I
that
thought
is going to help the nation?
I thought it should be about doing the right thing, but this time around is like we're playing some kind of is it
like, wait, I dare you cannot
yes,
release it.
you
I
can,
will
I
release
would,
it. You will see,
know,
and then
you could see the level to which governance, I mean, serious matters have been reduced to. Now, we talked about the implication sometime last week, and those who are versed in the laws were telling us, and from the little I've been able to glean, talk with people, I've come to realize that the Minister of Information and Culture has uncannily, kind of removed the cell from the fight against corruption. Because with this list, I think he's undermining the entire anti-graft effort of this administration. Now, everybody is going to court. By the time this matters, okay, most of the names he came out with are matters that were already in the court. And some legal experts will say, is it that those matters are sub judice? Why bringing up those names? You talk about looters. Allow the court to get to logical conclusion and come about a decision on whether, yes, we found them guilty of looting or not, before you can now list and say he belongs in the camp of looters. But coming up with this third list, I think what will really trip Nigerians will be when we see names of holders of offices in the current administration and names of people who belong in the ruling party and names of majority of those who jump ship from the so-called black party of yesterday. They jump aboard the new ship today. That's when Nigerians will now think that the fight against, or the list is authentic, is really the VC's list, as you would say. Because failure to do that, Ruth, for me, seriously speaking, I think the fight against corruption has just been reduced. This government's focus, on tackling corruption is just being reduced to nothing.
I mean, for you to actually come out and say it's because we were dared, you don't need to wait for anybody to dare you to do or not to do.
No.
And you should not, respond to such things, but do things because it's the right thing and right time for you to do it. So
everybody is turning to the court of law to make a decision on people are now beginning to claim damages, and you are telling me you're not intimidated by anybody. Matters that were already pending in court, you're bringing up their names as looters. To what basis could you conclude that they looted? yes, they've been alleged, suspected, to have dipped their hands.
Yeah.
And we know how these things work. Sometimes that's why jungle justice sometimes is very wrong. You find out that, okay, they say somebody just saw about what thing happened. He's told you weren't there to know whether he's
But just
and you are
because
pelting.
you heard the words,
Yes.
too, yeah.
Why not take your time and get to the conclusion so that by the time these guys are being punished or sanctioned, Nigerians will know, yes, indeed they
And
did.
so, because we're not in a jungle community, we should allow the rule of law to actually take its course.
Perfectly. Otherwise, by the time you go out and pick anybody, in fact, it's making the job of the anti-graft agencies even more difficult. Because anybody the anti-graft agencies turn to now, they'll quickly run to court. And we know the way the wheel of justice, turns in this part of the world. It could take decades, and then we forget about them. I know someone, for instance, Ojus or Kalu. He's been having some cases, corruption cases hanging on his neck over the years. Today, he has just crossed over to the other side and is singing one very, very interesting song like that for the powers that be. So nobody's looking in his direction. Now, if perchance Lai Mohammed decides to include his name in the list, do you think Ojus or Kalu will just take it line low? He will run to the court as well. So the whole anti-graft effort for me is being ridiculed by this list. If you wanted to come out with a list, a genuine list, then you should have made it genuine. Let it be all-encompassing and not based on matters that are pending in the courts. You should have gone to the anti-graft agencies. How many persons have you, found certain evidence that they stole or they did not steal or this or that? Let's have the list. According to the anti-graft agencies, these are the persons that are currently found wanting. However, investigations are ongoing. And their matters will be, or they will be eventually charged to courts. You have a list of,
I think you need to be the PR for the Minister of Information.
I won't go there, Ruth.
So at least you would have presented it as, in a more civilized manner this way.
He should. There's something more that needs to be done than coming out with this list, because you're just reducing the fights against corruption to mere child's play.
Well, as it is, he said the court is a place that is both for the rich and poor, for the government and those being governed. So he on behalf of government is not, or are not, I can't even speak the grammar anymore, but there is no intimidation that's going to just stop them from going ahead with the presentation of the next batch of looters. So let's keep our fingers crossed for the release of that very interesting batch, and let's see whose names will be on it. In the meantime, you can call the number 081-8999-1011. These are just a few of the headlines that we have just shared with you and analyzed as well. So let's get to hear your own reaction to these stories on that number. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please stay away from your radio. What's your name? Hello?
My name is Muhammad Kabir. I'm calling from Nepal.
Okay. Welcome.
You see, the issue of this list, quite all right, the names are out and what have you, and another one is coming. Well, it's not good enough, but it is also sad in the other notice that for all this while, the cases from EFCC, ICCC in time of corruption charges have not well been indicted in our court listing. So sometimes the way your guest said, when a case is in court and it takes time, then the accuser will also go to court and this, they prolong the issue, thereby we forget what is happening. And that's what leads us up to this moment. If for all this while we have been having a concrete law down by our lawmakers that to fight this canker, if we were to tell ourselves the truth, is corruption not doing bad to this country? It is doing bad to this country, and we have lawmakers. So if we keep our eyes away of it, and then for me, the way they name these names for me, it's okay because we are even shaming them, either they agree or not. Because the courts are not being, they are not jailing them. If they are been jailing them for all this, why we will not be in this show, my dear sister.
Whoa, okay.
The country has come to it has come to what it is today because we are not dealing with the corruption. All the menace that is happening is just because of corruption. If people are having too much money, why can't you come into the country? If people are having too much money, how can't they make love into their hands and they will go away with it? That's
Okay.
it. So we don't have to fight this corruption to the zero level. Whatsoever in this, we have to call to judiciary. Nigeria should shout out and call judiciary into this so that we have this thing out of our country. God bless Nigeria. God bless human rights.
Thank you very much. Nyene, do you subscribe to capital punishment
For corruption-related
Yeah.
offenses. No.
But he's not the first one to mention something like that. Some people feel like it may just be the only thing that could serve as deterrent, especially for Nigerian corrupt people.
Yes, because the situation has defied all forms of punitive measures, right? So the last of it, perhaps that would serve
Will be
as a
that.
deterrent. Really curb this will be maybe capital punishment. But I don't subscribe to it anyway.
Okay, I'm not going to probe further. Let's just listen more. Sorry, call the number 08189991011. That is the number if you want to react to any of the stories that we have talked about so far. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You're welcome.
Yes, sir. So to me,
What's your name, please?
I'm Raphael Jinlondare by name.
Okay, Raphael, I'm listening.
Yeah. So this thing that is happening to me is a witch hunting. Because if we are like Mohammed, he could have advised the president to hold security responsible, to hold them accountable for the money, each amount of money that they've been given to them. If not, all these things, many people that are in the ruling party now, that their name, that they didn't bring out their name. So at least for them, it's better for them to look for the progress of the country or for people problems than their own selfish interest.
Okay, Raphael, thank you. Let's get another call. Hello.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Welcome. What's your name?
I'm calling from Gagalada.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to contribute in this your topic. It's very interesting. For me, I think if your guest is expecting the present government to name some of his cabinet people, because we expect that the next government will come, supposed to do that, not their own to investigate their own people. You understand me? So, hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, for me, the list is very, very important. Because even though they went to court, the court doesn't do anything. The court doesn't prosecute people. They use their money that they stole from the government pocket to suppress the judges or the lawyer or whatever. So the masses are the ones suffering for this. So all this issue of whether they backlight the list or whatever, for me, that is the right thing to do. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for sharing your thought with us. Okay, we'll pick another call and then we'll see how we can wrap things up on Media Lab this morning. 08189991011. Hello. Your voice is far away. I cannot hear you.
Good morning, Ruth.
Good morning. Welcome. What's your name?
I'm fine. Mr. Apollo's calling from
Mr. Apollos. Okay, go ahead.
my take on this. To me, colleagues there is supposed to
Oh no, Mr. Apollos, I can barely hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yeah. I said that on this issue, we are too economical, not telling us the truth. When these people came on power, they promised us that they are going to mention the names of brokers in Nigeria.
Uh-oh. And we lost that call again. I don't know why that had to happen, but well, let's see if we can make up with this one. Hello? Hello? Okay. I think the phone line is beginning to misbehave. But, you have listened to a few of Nigerians and their thoughts about the situation, especially with focus to the looters list, which has actually been trending and is still trending, especially as we're still talking about it. So you are not up for capital punishment. What could really be that thing that could push, people, or at least just really serve as a strong warning for, because not many people also have faith in the judiciary. So we say these people will be taken to court and all that. We know how they will all lie there, and we forget. So many other events will come and overshadow all of that, and we forget them.
For me, for starters, I just hope this list does not turn out to create more damage. Already, I'm scared because it's beginning to go in that direction. But I just believe that part of this fears, the damage could be curtailed, as it were. Now, bringing on undue pressure on the judiciary is going to pose another very serious threat to the fight against corruption. Nigerians are already questioning the performance of the judiciary in terms of ruling or giving expedient ruling on corruption cases. But then we have to take, look at both sides of the coin. The prosecuting bodies, do they prosecute their cases effectively? Are they backed up with substantial evidence, or incontrovertible evidence to actually nail them? We know most of the time the anti-graft agencies on storming a alleged suspect home. The next moment you hear they are just reeling out figures, on the media. And that's the last you hear of it. The next time you want to raise question, how about that other billions that was found in so person's home? You hear they turn and point accusing fingers at the judiciary. Again, the caliber of lawyers that actually do prosecution for the anti-graft agencies. Do we get lawyers that can actually face up to their best contemporaries who are on the side of the defense? Do we marshal all the necessary facts and evidence before the court of law? Because the judge, as it were, most times the judges would tell you it is based on the evidence, materials presented before the court that the judge will take a decision. The law would not come out and give you some kind of favor you didn't request for, you didn't ask for. So for me, I think it's something that's more all encompassing. For you that is prosecuting, you need to ensure that you gather all your facts, get all your arsenal, the best lawyers, ensure that investigation is properly conducted into that matter so that incontrovertible evidence is brought before the court.
There is still padding. Let me use the word padding.
Who pads in this instance?
Whomever, that padding will be of advantage to. They are willing to do that. So if it means bending the hands of the judiciary over, they do, and sometimes they succeed.
I don't want to take on the judiciary this moment. I know they have their own shortcomings, no doubt, but I don't want to go there. Now, what happens is you're fighting corruption. Obviously, corruption would not just lay back and allow you to trample over him or it, as it were. So corruption is definitely going to fight back. So if you are telling us you want to fight corruption, it's not by mere doing that on the pages of newspapers or on the media platform. No. You take your time, conduct underground investigations subtly, and ensure that you've gotten all the evidence. Go to court with those evidence. When the courts now fail to deliver judgment appropriately, you can now raise alarm. Oh, I did all my homework. I presented all the necessary facts and evidence before the court. Look at it, but it's the court that turned around and muddled up the case. So for me, I know we would always make the judiciary, yes, we have a few black sheep in the judiciary, no doubt about that. But we must not turn around and focus that, put the entire blame on the judiciary.
Okay.
So you want to approach the judiciary, there are certain requirements. So ensure that you go there with those requirements. If you are prosecuting, you go there wishy-washy and you think the defense will just look at you. They want to come out with their own strong points to knock the case into oblivion. So it's all about seriousness of effort, determination on the part of commitment, and let's stop this whole charade. You sit down, they say, come and pursue this one before you go for them. You go to court, sometimes they just go and file charges in the court, and nobody goes back there to the court. You hear the judges saying that counsel to prosecuting agency is not in court. What would they do? They just adjourn the matter. If this is April, they could adjourn it to October, because it shows you're not serious to actually prosecute this matter. If you talk to legal practitioners, that's what they will tell you. Yes, we have black sheep amongst them, but then I think within the legal profession, they have their own mechanism of sorting that out too, weeding out the bad element from the rank and file of practitioners.
Okay. That does it for us on Media Lab this morning. Many thanks to Inyene for being our only analyst today.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
All right, and thanks to you, our listener. We'll do this again tomorrow, same time. Media Lab will make a return in the 11 o'clock hour. In the meantime, stay with us on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. 12 noon will be time for the news. My name is Ruth Usman.
We declare that human rights are for all of us